Episode number 178, your boys D and El Cucuy. I'm going to start doing our YouTube a little differently. I'm going to move it from full episodes on YouTube to to only clips only, right?
Mm-hmm.
The full YouTube episode, with the edits on the F-bombs and stuff will still be available, but on Patreon. So
Okay.
if you typically watch the show on YouTube, go to our Patreon. They're still free on Patreon. They're still linked to our YouTube, but it just I'm trying something out. So if you
will you link something to my YouPorn?
what
I don't know.
um
They can find me there too.
so I'm trying something different. If you're not on our Patreon, but you do watch us on YouTube or you listen to the normal audio stream, on Patreon, all the episodes, all the videos are going to be there. The ones that we do live like this are still going to be for the paid patrons that are paying their hard-earned $1 a month. But if you want just the free episodes, they're all still there, all 177 episodes. So a quick little update for everybody. But yeah.
Well, they can find me on YouPorn. It's called Cucuy with a Duro. To the riches. Okay. Got you, baseline. The AO Cinco.
He's a little bitch.
I like that.
I was looking for other ones. I couldn't find them, though, real quick. That fast, because I just thought about it. But here we are, the After Show, but later, episode number 178. Man, it was a busy week. So what you got?
Busy week.
I got a lot of shenanigans.
You know what? I always start first. I'm gonna defer to you.
Okay. And
I want to receive the ball at halftime with the win.
I'm actually, dog, I'm proud of us. You know why?
Why?
Because when I first started editing all of the F words out, it was probably 400. It was like 474, 493.
I like 420 better.
It was all in the 400s of the amount of F bombs that we had, right?
Okay.
And we talked about it. We became a little more conscious of it. And then we for a minute.
You still have a potty mouth.
For a minute when we were editing, or when I was editing, I realized that we were going down to like in the 300s, right?
Okay.
I think the last episode was 100 and something. So I think like we've been making a conscious decision to they slip up from time to time, but I mean 190 something times, right? But we're more like, I think, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, but if I'm talking or whatever and I catch myself dropping F-bomb after F-bomb, I'm like, oh crap, I kind of realize it, and then I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'm gonna try to kick back. So I think both of us have been kind of conscious like that, and it's come down dramatically. So so congratulations to you and to myself. Pats on the back. We get pats. Pat Sajax on the back.
I know this. I don't need to use an F-bomb to drive home my point. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, you know what? All you got to do is get a little more creative. I know sometimes when we get fired up, you have
passion comes
through. But yeah, well, since you went ahead and
Mel Gibson style.
Since you threw it to me, let me see. Okay, I have an idea.
Oh, there's Dexter. Remember that?
I do remember that.
So that brings me to a question. What's your ringtone?
Whatever comes with the phone.
Oh, you don't have no extra shit like that?
I think I chose a different ringer for my lady, but it's like one of the pre.
Oh, you chose her shit?
Like I just like for when she calls, it's a different ringer for when she calls, but it's still like a default one. It's like the normal one, and then when she calls, it's like the next one down or something. I don't know. I didn't get too fancy with it.
Yeah, no, that's I got that old school Dex. I mean, I got a couple custom ones. Old school Dexter's one. Obviously, got to turn my phone off. It's gonna be hooked up Bluetooth.
Mm.
But yeah, man, crazy shit this week. Definitely some crazy shit.
I have something real quick right off the bat. I want to know your opinion on, because
the Louisville Slugger or what?
Right off the Louisville, yeah. So
okay. Or were you a Marzano? What's that Masuno. What was the other brand? Louisville Slugger,
Oh,
Wilson,
yeah.
and then one started with the M. Do you remember what it was?
Uh, the bat. Oh, it was the company that Spot used to use. The Maricones.
Okay, yeah, that sounds just right. I never had that glove.
I didn't have that glove or that bat or,
Hey, that thing came broken in. You didn't have to put it to work. It just came ready to go.
Oh,
You could go straight outside and start playing catch, no problem.
yeah, I
You didn't have
remember.
you didn't have to oil it up.
You didn't
You
have to
didn't
put
have
it
to
under
do
your
none of that.
bed. You didn't have to
Nope.
stick it in the oven. Everybody had their tricks, right? But
Yeah,
no,
not
that
Spotty.
one, that one came loose already. Uh,
It came it
but
came worn in.
but I had a question for you because
What's
this is
that?
something that, let me see. I have the clips right here. I wanted to play.
Is it of Nervous Matt or Mark in Colorado?
No, it's actually of
Damn.
Rich Davis. Let me see where, right here. Okay,
Dicky
so
Dinky Little?
so this dude, I'm like, Doug, if you wanna, okay, it's about OJ. So
Okay.
for the people that are listening,
I commented on the post.
so the people that are listening that may not have heard the story, Covino and Rich were flying back from Vegas to LA, and they were on the plane with OJ Simpson, right? And
The juice.
here's a comment that
Shout out OJ.
so here's a comment that I want to know your take on, because I have an opinion, but I have more of an opinion on Rich trying to lie his way out of it or trying to play dumb, I guess.
Okay.
So here we go. So we got the first one right here.
Let's say he was sitting there waiting for someone to like tie in a shoe or something. I would have no joke been like, "Hey, Juice, can I get a picture, man?" I would have absolutely went for it.
Okay, so did you hear that?
I did.
All right. Would you have gone for a picture?
I don't know if I would have went for a picture, but I definitely would have acknowledged him and said, "What's up?"
Okay. So,
Absolutely.
okay. So a big or something that, not a big argument, but hold on. Covino, let me see. Ice.
Because I don't know, man. I think if I would have said what's up and the conversation was going good and I felt comfortable enough, I might have hit him up for a picture. But I wouldn't have been like, "Hey, Juice, what's up, man? Mind if I get a pic?" No, I'm not doing that. I might have tried to talk to him real quick and just, "Hey, what's up, Juice?" You know what I
Okay.
mean? And see his
So,
response. And if it was positive, then maybe I would have hit him up. But I wouldn't have just came and said, "Hey, man, can I get a pic?" No.
the other thing was Jordan had said that they were watch. I'll play it.
Someone who brutally murdered two people and got away with it.
So Jordan said that. Okay, let me play it right here. So Jordan said that because they were talking about it on the show. So she said that they were glamorizing,
Someone who brutally murdered two people and got away with it.
right?
Who was glamorizing?
Covino and Rich were, because they were like how Rich was like, "Oh, I would have taken a picture with them," or whatever.
I'm with Rich.
Okay, but the only thing though that makes me be like, why is Rich playing dumb?
What do you
Because
mean playing dumb?
because listen to this next part. So Covino said that this is what Jordan said,
Who brutally murdered two people and got away with it.
right? And then Rich said,
We don't know that.
"Come on now."
You know what? Check it out. Shit's black or white. It just is what it is. And I watched that trial just like everybody else did. But again, anything you say outside of that verdict, whether you like it or not, is an opinion and an assumption. Because guess what? You weren't there. All you're doing is making your assumption or your opinion based on secondhand facts. You didn't know no one who was the detective at the department at the time. You didn't know Mark Furman. You didn't know Marsha Clark. You didn't know the bald-headed brother dude. I forgot his name. You didn't know none of them cats.
So
So for you, no. So hear me out. You tell me, bro. Do you look intelligent if you form an opinion based on second, third, fourth, and fifth hand information?
okay, what I'm saying though, so you're in the same camp of you don't think he did it?
What I'm telling you is, without a doubt, we don't know. None of us do. You don't. I don't give a anybody's opinion is. There goes my first one. Because you know why? You weren't there. And all you're doing is forming a shitty wrong opinion based on shit you done heard in the news or you read in the newspaper. You weren't there. You don't know her sister. You don't know OJ's kids. You don't know Marsha Clark. Like any opinion that anybody has on this, if you're not related to them and you really don't have like backstory shit, all you know is what was told to the media. And we all know they lie.
So you
So
think?
yeah, let me. I don't think nothing. I think if you're going to take a hard stance that he did it, you're a moron.
I think he did it.
How? Why?
I think he did it.
Why?
I just think he did it.
Why?
I think he did.
No, explain to me how you came to that conclusion. Let's have a discussion.
I think he did it. Why do you think he didn't do it?
I didn't say he didn't. I don't know. The thing is, the difference, I don't need to know or not know. That's none of my business. That is between him and God. I don't give a shit. The justice system in the country that we live in found him not guilty. That's all I need to know.
So,
I don't need to try to solve the crime. I'm not on the first 48.
So do you think he's not guilty? I have another question. Do you think he's not guilty? Do you think he's innocent? And do you think there's a difference?
I don't give a shit what he is. It is none of my business. Whatever happened or didn't happen is between that man and God. And I don't, thou shalt not, check it out. I don't know. For all you Christians out there, there's 10 rules that they ask us to follow. And one of them is thou shalt not judge. I don't know if he did it or not because I wasn't there. And it will be wrong of me to hear some shit that someone told me or that I read in the newspaper or heard on the news, whether it makes sense or it doesn't. You weren't there. And one of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not judge. So I'm not going to judge the man. I'm not Judy.
Okay.
I'm not Mathis. I'm not Whopper. I don't care if he did it or not because that is none of my business.
Okay, this is what's peculiar to me though, is that there's been many discussions where you weren't there, but you have an opinion on, and you typically have a they did it or they didn't do it or whatever.
Well, this one I don't.
But what
makes
you're talking
what makes this one different? Murder. Because you're talking about murder. And that's one of the worst things is we as humans can do. I'm not judging that man to say if he did the worst thing humanly possible. What does that make me? I don't have an opinion on that, man. That's between him and the Lord, not me.
All right. Well, I think he did it. So I don't know if you want to go to a new topic or if you want me to jump on another one.
No, we can go to a new topic.
It's up to you. I mean, I don't know if you had something, but I think OJ
well, I know Rich was saying that he was convinced that Apple plants bugs in their phones, so you got to get a new one every 2 years.
I half agree with him. Because I don't think they plant shit in their phone. I just think that they purposely, I don't want to say they slow down the phones or whatever, but with the technology advancing and shit so quickly, like right now, I don't even think you can use an iPhone like 5 or 6 or whatever on most shit. Like with the upgrades of the availability and shit of the software now, I don't think they're even compatible. So right now I think you have to go back that far to make a phone not usable, right? But if you have like an iPhone 8 or whatever, you still can use it. It's just like hella slow. But I think the advancements are happening so quickly that if you do have an 11 or a 12 or whatever, it might be slowing down because the upgrades of the software that's coming out is typically for the newest phone, right? The 14 Pro, whatever, 15, whatever. So if you have a phone from, like an iPhone 12, well, the software that was made back then, if you're still running that software, I think you're good. But when you have to, in order to update a lot of your apps, you need to upgrade to the most current software, right? So if you upgrade to the most current software, then now you're getting away from what your phone was intended to do. So I don't think they're placing bugs on the phone. I don't think they're maliciously doing it. I think it's just a matter of things advancing technologically.
Well, and I'll tell you a recent example that I had. I don't think they're putting bugs either. I think that's hogwash. But with that being said, with this job I got, they have a little package where they give you little accessories and a tablet. The problem is they gave you a Samsung tablet that was only 4G capable. So when you're trying to close out your day, it takes X amount of time. Whenever you're trying to submit an order or do some inventory, you're on 4G technology. And what do they say? They say 5G is 100 times faster, right? Something like that.
Then what? 4G?
How much faster is 5G than 4G?
I have no idea. A G? Whatever a G is, I don't know, Doug.
I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna Google it because I'm curious. But
All right.
with that being said, I went out and bought an iPad that was 5G capable, put it on my cell phone plan with 5G ultra wide premium package, no throttling, all premium data. And like the difference between just the device being 5G capable on 5G ultra wideband versus 4G technology is crazy. Like it used to take me like 3 to 4 minutes to do my day end versus 20 seconds. And so I don't necessarily know if they're planting bugs, but if you say you did have an iPhone, what's the newest one out? The 15?
I think 14.
So if you had a 12 and it's not 5G capable, then it's going to be slower, not necessarily because they planted a bug, but because you can't even utilize the best, fastest, technology out.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of the opinion that I'm going with, because I don't think, because when he said they're planning a bug, do you think he means, or did he specify as far as like he thinks like they're just putting something in that's slowing it down, or like what kind of bug? Like,
well, what I got from it was
like basically like a virus type of shit,
No, I thought it was like a flea or something.
or like a roach or a tick,
A cockroach,
oh,
a cucaracha, bro. But no, what I got from it was maybe like he said a couple of weeks ago that sometimes he just plays shit up for video. So maybe he was just bullshitting.
yeah, that. You know what?
It's gonna backfire on him. Watch. I'm gonna call that. That's what I'm gonna say every time I think he's full of shit.
Yeah, that he plays it up for the radio.
He does. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, he did say that a couple of weeks ago, but it does make you think though, like, on what items then is he being legit?
No, it does. It absolutely. When he gets pissed off.
Well, it was funny. Well, yeah, of course, but no, I was thinking about something from the other, like maybe from like 3 weeks ago, and we might have discussed it, but he straight up lied. I have a water here. Well, he straight up lied because on his Have Kids, they said, which I know you listen to as well, he mentioned he thought a rat and a mouse were the same thing.
I know.
And then when he was on Covino and Rich, he was like, "Oh no, I said, aren't they part of the same family? Aren't they the same kind of?" And I was like, "No, dog, I heard that." He literally said, "I thought they were the same thing." When he was on Have Kids, they said. So. Yeah. For that, like, that's one thing where, oh, is he playing that up for the show? Or now is he just trying to lie his way out of it?
Well, if you listen to both podcasts, he's full of shit on one of them.
It has to be, right? But you know what, though? I wanted to kind of... I have not a similar OJ story, but I have something that I don't think we touched on. Did we touch on the picture that did we touch on I don't know if we did on Chuck Liddell and what somebody had told me about taking a picture of them?
I don't think so.
Okay. So Doug, this is where when it reminded me when Rich was like, cuz I feel like Rich kind of played it smart the way he said, well, if I would have found, like you said, if me and OJ would have been talking and I would have found like the right opportunity, I would have threw it in there, whatever. Hey, but right. not just walk up to him. Hey, can I get a picture? Right. Rich said,
because that's awkward.
Right. So Rich said the same shit. Rich was like, if I would have been tying my shoe or whatever, hey, what's up, Juice? Get a picture or whatever. Like if he would have kind of had like a little in, right?
Right.
Which if it's, so it was like maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago, when I think I mentioned it here on the show, when we were at one of my daughter's cheer competitions, Chuck Liddell was there, right? So
Uh-huh.
Chuck Liddell walked past me and my brother-in-law, and then we were like, oh shit, that's Chuck Liddell. And I was like, there's a couple of reasons. I was like, I'm not going to go ask him for a picture. One, I'm like, he's here for his kid, right? Because his daughter was cheering. She's like 12 or something, right?
I thought it was because you're a Rampage fan.
So, no. So his daughter, dog, so he's there for his kid, right?
Right.
It's kind of like somebody's there. So, anyway.
Has some class.
So I did sneak a little video, a little picture, right? But I was like, I'm not going to go up to this dude and bother him on when he, if I seen him and like if I was like you and I right here, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Chuck? Like, whatever, big fan or whatever, right? I think
Daniel.
that's cool, right? But to be like, hey, can I have a picture or whatever? I just feel like that's like a little, for one, like I said, he's there with his daughter. It's like, he give him like
it lacks class.
To me, yeah, it's give him a moment to be a person, right? To be a dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's there as a dad. He's not there as Chuck Liddell, right? And so, what I had put on my Facebook, I had put oh, this was
you
cool.
still have one of those?
Yeah, me and my grandma, last two people.
You guys are only friends.
Well, three people because of my story. So me, my grandma, and Raphael Bucio.
Okay.
And the reason I'll tell you is because I put this the little picture I snapped where I was like, woof, and then I was like, oh, this was dope. Chuck Liddell walked by us, or whatever. He was at this competition. So then Raphael Bucio comments, and he's like, hey, did you take a picture with him? And I go, no. And then he was like, why not? And I go, he was there for his daughter. I don't want to be like, I don't want to interrupt that. Like, let him be a dad, So Raphael Bucio comments on it, and he puts, oh, I'm sure he's used to it. So
I'm sure he is too.
So because he's used to it, you're going to be like, well, he's not a person because he's used to it, because he gets approached a lot. Why not give him an opportunity to, and I'm not saying he's not Justin Bieber, right? He's not getting, or Michael Jackson. He's not getting harassed, I'm sure, everywhere he goes. But enough from dudes like us, right, that are UFC fans, I'm sure he gets harassed enough. Like, he's here. He probably was like, hey, this is cool. People aren't being weird. What's up?
How many other people asked him for his picture?
I didn't see any.
Oh, okay, Raphael Bucio.
Yeah, I didn't see any. And
so Raphael just wants to be that guy.
And when I walked like, oh shit, and I walked past him, there was another cheer dad there, and he was like, is that Liddell? And I was like, dude, that's Chuck Liddell. And
was he rocking his hawk or what?
And yeah, he was. And so that other dad was like, oh, crazy. But he did too. He wasn't like, he's not a little schoolgirl. Chuck, come over here. Let me take a picture with you. Like,
bro hug.
He was like, damn, that was cool. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. All right. Crazy. Right. Whatever. Moved on with my life. That dude moved on with his life. Chuck moved on with his life. So I'm like, dog, that's what I feel like is wrong with a lot of people is, oh, well, I'm sure he's used to it. Like, so you're not going to treat somebody like a person, like you said. Say me and Chuck are sitting down because our kids are in the same performance or whatever.
Right.
And you're bullshitting with them, whatever. Like you said, if you find a window, like if you start talking about, he's like, yeah, people take pictures. I really don't mind, whatever. You're like, okay, he's cool with it. You kind of find your window. If it don't present itself, then it don't present itself, right? But
no, you gotta have social. You gotta have social awareness. You gotta be able to feel out the situation. And when it's right, it's right. When it's not, it's not. And if you just go up to someone, whether it's socially acceptable in today's world or not, and ask them for a picture, a selfie, like, I don't know, bro. Before camera phones and all this shit, I didn't want to be in your picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be in your photo. Like, I wasn't taking pictures unless it was my kid.
No, and I just think people in general don't, like, I don't know. I think people lack self-awareness because
You know what?
Doug, so think about it. Like if Rafael Busil was there, he would have like walked up looking like a dumbass because nobody else was doing it, right? He would have felt cool. Oh, I got a picture of Chocolate Dell. Everybody else there would have been looking at him like, look at this guy's a jack off. Like,
Fucking scumbag.
you know what I'm saying? And then
Now, I'm gonna make a prediction right now too.
what's up?
You watch in the next few years, bro. Mark today's date on this episode. In the next few years, that shit's gonna be off limits. You're not gonna be able just to approach people out of the blue and do shit like that. Like it's gonna be. I'm telling you, man. They're gonna get to where they're gonna start claiming mental health and and it probably does affect their mental health. I mean, like think about it as someone who's famous. You can't even go get a Ben and Jerry's at the liquor store. You know what I mean?
You're right. I can't.
But you watch. They're gonna start having restrictions and penalties for harassment if you cross a certain line in the future. You watch.
Doug, I think I might have told you this. I don't know if when we were recording or not, but one night we had recorded and it was in the evening like this. And my daughter knew that we're doing it live, you know?
Mhm.
And so I was like, hey, we left here. And I was like, hey, we need to run to Walmart, whatever. And she was like, Daddy. She's like, hey, what if one of your fans is at Walmart? And they're like,
Fans.
yeah, that's what she
Is
said.
that like the pedestal one, or are you a box fan?
You know what? I haven't had a box fan since like '92, but those used to slap, dog. Those were
I got
dope.
I got one next door in the
Those
other
are
room.
dope. But
Yeah.
no, she's like, Daddy, what if one of your fans? And I was like, Kennedy, I'm like, one of our fans will like, come on now. I was like, first of all, I was like, we don't have fans, all right? We have a handful of friends, right?
Right.
But when she said that, and I was like, it's just funny to see the way her little brain thinks, like, oh shit, man, you got a YouTube channel or a podcast, you know, and you just
You're
did
balling.
it.
You're
Yeah,
balling.
you just did it, man. We're gonna be at Walmart. What if somebody runs into you, you know? And I was just like, oh, that.
You got
shit
a fresh Sharpie or what for all them titties you're gonna sign?
I actually usually do, Doug. Let me see. Oh, that one right here.
You sign titties often or what?
I do. I haven't in a
Look
while.
at you go.
But I wanted to kind of get into a topic. I'll let you maybe or maybe not, just because I'm not sure how to angle it. If you know the topic I'm talking about,
I don't.
something that we were talking about this week when people asking for shit or
Go for it.
I don't know, just back to that self-awareness shit. I think we're in a time of, you know, it's 2023 like you mentioned. There's been plenty of times. I don't have Rich Davis's personal phone number, but there's been times where I've talked to him here and there through Messenger or whatever about certain shit. But never. I just think if you want to get a hold of somebody, there's plenty of ways to do it in 2023, right?
Yes.
So I just feel like I could comment on one of Rich's pictures. He could comment back. He will, right? Whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. I could
Instagram friends are a thing.
message some on Instagram, like you said. Hey, what's up? You know, whatever, or whatever. But
No, you have an advantage.
what are you talking about?
Right now, someone could message you on Patreon and you would just talk about it as we speak.
Oh, let me go ahead and give you a perfect real life example. So I got to give out a shout out to one of our patrons, Homer, right? His name's Homer, and
Jay Simpson?
just like we're talking about on the Patreon on our last video, he was like, dude, I got that shit from my pops too, about when we were talking about clapping a fly dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, what? That's crazy, like whatever. Well, Homer hit me up or hit up the show on Patreon, and he was like, in the Patreon comments or whatever, he was
sounds like he hit you up.
so he was like, hey, he goes, that shit, I got that shit from my pops too. I used to clap flies or whatever, and so we just had like a little back and forth.
Yeah.
But there's a perfect place to do it, right? On Patreon, on whatever. Homer didn't like want my home address so he could come kick it and we could have a beer together, you know? Which I'd probably be down for, but I'm just saying, for this conversation, he was like, hey, I have a comment about the show. I could either write to them on Patreon, comment on their YouTube, text them 928-235-5285, hit them up after show BL across all social media. If you want to hit one of us up individually, it's at El Cucuy, like 805 or some shit.
Talk to me. I talk back.
At Daniel J. Fitz, at whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a million ways to
You
interact.
can even hit up Chapo Jenkins and he'll hit you back.
There's a million ways to interact with people. You can comment on their TikTok videos, their Instagram, whatever.
They're OnlyFans.
And to me, it's just like, I don't understand how. And I think going third party is even a little more unaware of yourself, right? So if I'm like Covino, I hit him up. I'm like, hey, shit, why is my phone gonna die? If I'm like, hey, Covino, hold on.
Hey, bro, usually that happens when your battery's low.
Yeah, no. If I'm like, well, my shit just came up. Hey, give me Rich's address. I want to send him.
I want to show up on Christmas.
Yeah, right, Doug. Hold on. I wouldn't. Hold on. Let me plug. All right. I wouldn't do that because one, it puts Covino in an awkward place. Like it puts Covino in a spot. Like, wait, I'm not gonna give you my buddy's address. Like, what the hell, Two, I tell Rich, or Covino tells Rich, hey, Daniel was asking for your address, and Rich is like, now Rich is in a spot.
I like Daniel, but what does he want my address for?
Right. So now Rich says that. Now the next time I see Rich,
is he gonna black ice me?
So now the next time I see Rich, hey, what's up, Rich? Right? I may not even be thinking about it, but now Rich might be like,
fuck, he's gonna hit me up.
Man, this dude had, yeah. So now you put Rich in an awkward spot. You put Covino in an awkward spot for asking him.
They all told Spot.
And now Spot's in an awkward spot, right? And
now it's just an awkward burger.
So now
Rich is one. Well, I won't even say Rich is a bun. Never mind. You get it. There's three of them, and that's an awkward burger.
But I'm just like that. That's
I'm
where
just saying.
I just don't understand. Like I don't understand how people aren't self-aware, and it's just crazy to me. Here we are in 2023, still like, I don't know, dog.
I don't have a Facebook, but I got a Snapchat. I got an Instagram. We're on YouTube. I mean, they can hit you. Anyone can get a hold of me through you. Worst case scenario. So I know you got like 19 different IGs, and so there's 20 ways to get a hold of me right there.
Doug, I even have an account called default user like 29572939 whatever, just because I'm like that. I don't want anybody to follow that one that I know or whatever. I just literally on that account just follow accounts that actually dig, right? For the show, I'm following anybody that follows us. I'll follow them back. On my personal one, I have like some like friends and shit from high school where I'm kind of like, I really don't give a shit about their stuff, to be honest. So the one that I like, if I have that other account, I'm following Covino and Rich. I'm following freaking whoever, right? The Lakers. I'm following, the ones that I actually give a shit about. If I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's see what everybody, from my high school's up to. I'll go to my personal one. But if I'm like, hey, I just really want to be on Instagram to scroll through shit I actually give a shit about, then I'll go to that default one or whatever,
But what would be cool, though, is that someone could call in right now or chime in on the chat. Shout out Funky Monkey. She chimes in on the chat. She listens live.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be dope because that would make this conversation better if one of the listeners could call in or chime in or whatnot and interact that way.
Mm-hmm. No,
you can contribute to the show.
And we have, yeah, like you said, Funky Monkey, Luis. There's been a couple of people that will chime in. Why not chime in together? And I know it's a little difficult because our time, we don't have a set time. But if you get our notification, hey, like I sent out a notification at like noon. Hey, we're going to be recording tonight. like around 6:30 or whenever, I don't know, 12, 1, whenever I talk to you this afternoon.
Right.
And I was like, hey, you know, we're going to be recording 6:30 right there. If you, oh, cool. Let's see if I could, you know, check it out. So you can come
Well,
here.
hey, and always tell me when you do that. That way we don't push it back and flake.
Yeah.
Because if you tell me you sent out a notification, we got to make it happen.
Yeah. And so there's like that. I mean, today we did it 100%. We were fine. So you can come join us, right? And
well, hey,
on
no,
the
because
chat.
I hit you up though at 6:30, and you're like, I'm on. If I knew you would have sent out a notification, I would have been on 10 minutes early. Make sure you tell me that, bro.
Well, I put I put actually 6:30 ish because I wasn't sure if I was
But one of us always lags.
Mhm.
So just tell me when you sent the notification. That way That way it ain't me.
Yeah.
I just blame you for everything.
Okay. So
All right.
now you know that if you guys get a notification and we're late, it's El Cucuy's fault. But yeah, Matt. What are? Do you have anything else that you're thinking that you want to dive hard into?
I do. Spot and his 7-inch inseam. He kept talking about that inseam.
Dog,
Did
those
you
are
hear
short
that?
shorts.
Bro, those are ball fucking
Those are
nut hut-
short shorts, dog.
That's
I
bottom
don't-
ball. That's
that-
B.O.B. hanging out.
Yeah, that dog. That's. I'm sorry, dog. I'm not, and obviously I'm not Mr. Fashionista. I mean, got my black T-shirt. You know, I own
Oh, me
three.
too.
I own 300 of these. You know.
And 287 are still brand new in the plastic package.
Yeah, no lie. I literally
Because the liquor store doesn't want to get dust on them.
I literally today I go, I should go buy like 3 more black shirts. You know, I was like, just to keep them fresh and brand new looking, and you know, but
I
yeah.
do.
So, but a 7-inch inseam, dog. That's like, and you know what? If you're you know, stylish and shit, because I could see some of my friends that are like more up on the style and shit. That's cool, but don't try to act like that's the norm for people. That is not the norm, dog, for anybody I know.
No,
Spot-
and it is in style, but I don't. You know what though? The thing is, here's the thing about style: is it always changes.
Yeah,
And if you're an OG, it always comes back to your style multiple times.
yeah.
And I promise you that shit's cool and cute right now, but below the knees are coming back. At some point, it's coming back.
And it doesn't even have to be, dog, like the way we did it in like the early 2000s. I mean, you don't have to be, dog.
I'm not showing much more than kneecap.
I
At
don't-
the most.
I don't know.
Half a kneecap.
No, same. But
Show man thigh for.
I don't know if your algorithm's like this, but it might be because I graduated in 2006 from high school. But it'll be like, for some reason, my TikTok algorithm has like, you know, waiting for the bus in 2004 or whatever, and it'll have a dude with some big ass basketball shorts, big ass t-shirt or whatever, and that shit is all up in my algorithm because, like, yeah, that was the style and shit. I'm not even saying go that big and baggy,
Right. No.
but right at the knees is fine. What's wrong with that? You know, or like
you
you,
know-
said,
you know
right,
what
half of the kneecap showing. But Doug, why you gotta show 3-4 inches of man thigh?
No. And nobody wants to see it. I don't care if it's in style or not. Like, do you want to see man thigh?
Nah.
I don't want to see man thigh. So if you're wearing it because it's a style, I mean, go for it. You do you do what you feel like you got to do.
Mhm.
But I'm not trying to show my man thigh because it's in style, because I know other dudes got to look at it.
No, and the thing is, like, again, if you want to do that, cool, right? But don't try to make it like it's the norm. And
It's not the norm.
and think about it.
That's
Doug,
the norm for you.
And it may be the norm in LA,
For you.
but Doug, in most of
Hey, California's a big ass state. Okay. And I'm going to tell you that LA is what's cracking, and that's Hollywood, and a lot of trends, and what they're doing is what a lot of other people do. Don't mistake that. But you also have to be an individual. And California is a big ass state, and you got to rep your region. I ain't from LA. I'm from the Central Valley. I'm from Fresno. And some people in Fresno rock like that. But there's plenty of people that don't rock like that in Fresno. So you do what you got to do. However, LA, it's also more gay than a lot of counties, right? The heterosexual population is a little less in LA. So if that's your thing, you do that too.
I
But
couldn't, Doug. I couldn't stop laughing because somebody on the Carl page was like, "Hey, when Spot bought a Mini Cooper, we should have known he was gay, right?" People were like breaking balls.
I knew that
And
shit 10 years ago.
Doug, and it made me laugh because Spot goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "This is the conversation, man. Spot buying a Mini Cooper should have been one of the signs that he was gay. We should have known all along, right?" Then Spot chimes in, "Oh yeah, having a convertible in L.A. super gay, right?" And then this dude chimes back in, "A convertible? That's a Mini Cooper convertible. It's not like you're rocking a Ferrari, right?" And so they were,
Bro, it's a smart car on steroids.
oh my god! But it was funny because, dog, the way, oh yeah, a convertible in L.A. I'm like,
It's a smart car on. It's a Mini Cooper. You look like Grape Ape. You are too big. That's like in your big wheel when you're 9. You are too big to be driving around that little ass car Spot. Somebody ain't gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. You look like Grape Ape. You fucking look like Grape Ape, bro. Get yourself a vehicle.
Doug, you know,
That's a car. That's a toy.
you know what? I guess on the same kind of thing about, damn, what was it? Okay, I know where I want to go. I want to think about how I was getting there. So,
Hope it's not in Spot's car riding shotgun.
oh, okay, so freaking I wanted to talk a little bit, and this will probably be a little controversial, but I just think people are being ridiculous, dog. So did you hear the conversation about like all the trans shit?
I did. Oh, I heard some of it for sure.
And did you hear, Doug, how people, I don't think Covino or Rich were being out of line at all.
No, I
And
agree.
people were chiming in, like calling them bigots and saying like they're insensitive. And even I saw like EJ Reed, like, "Oh, well, you're not, you're, oh, what did EJ Reed say?" It was somebody who was like, "Oh, just because they didn't grow up a man doesn't mean I think they're less of a man," or some shit. And I'm like, dog, listen, if you want to call yourself a man, a woman, a monkey, or whatever, I don't give a will call you it. However, for you to act like you're the same and you went through the same things as a man, had the same or reverse, a female, to be like, when you were going through puberty and I almost said puberty, you're going through puberty, dog, and you cracked you cracked your first boner, right? And you're like, whoa, how the are you gonna know what it was like to get your first period when you became a woman at 37, right? So,
Well, and you're not going to probably even have a. Well, yeah, you are.
oh, nowadays, dog, shit's crazy.
No, I seen some shit on TikTok where, yeah, it never stops.
But the thing is, though, dog, is that for people to play stupid and be like they were saying, Doug, I felt like they were being very considerate and shit, saying like, we'll call you whatever you want to be called, whatever.
Yeah.
But then like the way people are trying to get canceled and shit about, well, if you don't call them a they or whatever, I'm like, I don't know. Like, even if you say, born a man or some shit, you have to say like, oh, biologically assigned at birth and all this shit, dog. I'm like, dog, it's so clear to be like, and the thing is, in your head, you may think like, hey, you know what?
You may think
you're a man, and you were born in a woman's body, right? But until you can go back in time and change your chromosomes and shit, right? Then you're still that sex, and you can become a trans person or whatever. Cool. But you can't say like, oh, I was never a man, or I was never a woman, or I would like, oh no, I've always been. Yeah, in here. But you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
I just know a lot of people that talk themselves into a lot of stupid shit before.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy. And so I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I know this. They were talking about a guy who said that where you identify with a different race was more Did you hear that part where it was
Yeah.
more likely of a scenario?
I kind of feel
And
I agree with that.
I kind of agree with that as well, because I don't care what race you are. You could be a brother, and if you grow up with the Latinos, you're gonna have and you seriously grew up with them. Not like you had this one buddy that 5 nights out of the year you stayed the night or whatnot. But like if that was your homie and you went over there and your mom and you knew him and she called you mijo and whatnot, and you got down and you were there all the time, then you might be a little Latino. I mean, it just because then you start to learn about culture. And once you absorb someone's culture, you're not them, but you're definitely multicultural. I mean, at least you're experienced in how they get down.
No, and you know what? I'm glad you said that because that actually brings up another point. There was a dude. I think I screenshot it. Did I screenshot it?
Because hey, bro, I don't know what I would identify race wise. I mean, I know a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and I was super tight with all of them. Like I got down and family wise with multiple different families from multiple different races. So I experienced all of that. So I don't know how you would say that someone that didn't experience any of that doesn't at least have a right to make an opinion.
The thing is, dog, is that I think, like you said, you're like, I don't know where I would identify, or I don't know, whatever, right? And it just
Let me ask you something. Hold on, real quick. Something just popped up. You said all kind of people always ask you if I'm a Latino, right?
yeah.
And I don't necessarily even know if I am. We talked about it on the show, but would it even be right for me to identify that way?
Yeah.
Would it?
If you told me you were, I wouldn't give a.
Well, no, I'm saying though, but if people ask that all the time, what would you say if someone said, I'm going to run with it? I'm not saying I'm going to do that. I'm just asking you for sake of this conversation.
I really wouldn't give. I would be like, honestly, like you said, if they're into the food, the music, the culture, then what the like, dog? There's so many people at work that we call honorary Mexicans, right? Because they're like, the only thing about them that's white is the fact that they're white, right? Like, there's a girl named Vanessa, and she works with my sister. We call her an honorary Mexican because, dog, she is the whitest person you'll ever meet. But
and it's not even controversial. Like you don't mind doing it, right?
No, because I'm like, it's to me, I'm like, if she would have told me like, hey, you know what? I just found out I'm 90% Mexican. Like, well, makes sense, right? You know?
Right.
But the thing is where
her 23andMe came back or what?
No, what bothers me, dog, is that when people try to get like specific and shit, like people.
I got a theory.
What's up?
The more controversial, the more of a fuss they kick up if you don't agree with them.
Well, I gotta tell you, so somebody on the Covino and Rich Patreon, on like the actual where they post their videos, they had commented something about Covino. It was some Mexican dude, right? And he was like, "Hey, stop dropping this vato shit." He was like, he goes, "You're half Mexican and you don't even know Spanish." He's like, "Just stop." And I was like, oh, "Okay." So now,
you know how many vatos I know that don't know Spanish because
you're
just born here?
Bro,
they were born here, bro. They didn't have to learn it. They already knew English and shit. Like, you know how many friends I grew up with? I seen the Ralph Barbosa shit where he was talking about the people calling and shit, and he was talking shit. Grandma needed him,
and then translating. Yeah,
right. A lot of my friends were like that.
Yeah, no, and Doc, and the thing is, I'm like, okay, so how Mexican do you gotta be before you can say, oh, I'm a vato or I'm a Latino or whatever, right?
Right.
Because if you go into their ancestry, I guarantee you, they're more Spaniard than they think they are. You know, they're more like European than they think they are. They think, Doc. So where's the line on where?
Well, look at their age group too.
Where Covino could say he's Mexican or Italian or vato or whatever. Because, Doug, that's one thing that, like...
Does his mom know Spanish?
Covino's?
Yes.
Yeah, she was born in Mexico.
So she speaks Spanish?
Yeah, she does.
That makes my point. Because the thing is, there's a lot of people that were born
My
here in
dad.
the state.
My
Well,
dad.
there's a lot of kids though that had parents who were born in Mexico that were born here in the States. And if you're our age, you didn't want to get looked down. Keep in mind, this is 2023, right? Let's take a step back into the 80s and the 70s, where speaking Spanish was not always a good thing.
Yeah.
And you were looked down upon if you did speak it. There were times, let's cut the bullshit and let's call it for what it is. So if you were growing up in that time and you were a little kid, you didn't want to learn because they were going to.
Or not even that. I'll even take
But that's a fact though.
No, but I'll even give you another fact. A lot of parents that came here, and now the kids are first generation Mexican.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? The parents know the struggle of learning the language, and they don't want their kids to go through that of struggling being bilingual and shit. Because I know people like my sister's now husband. He came here in like first grade or second grade or whatever, and he was like, it was so hard for me to communicate, and how he felt stupid and all this shit. So people that are going through that, a lot of times, not so much now because they realize now how much of a tool it is to be bilingual, right? But
we realize, but that's what I'm saying.
But yeah,
bro.
like
we
you said, go
realize
back
that
to the
now.
80s, go back to the 90s, go back to the 70s.
No one looked at it like that.
It was more of a, I don't want my kids to go through this. This shit was a struggle, right?
I don't want them to be looked down upon like the way that I've been looked down upon my whole life.
Exactly.
They're going to speak English and English only. And that's just, sometimes that's the way it was, bro.
And think about it too. Like the way, and it's funny.
And not very often. I want to clarify before they come at me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that was the standard, but what I'm telling you is that a small percentage, that's the way that it went down.
And you know what? And what I will also tell you is this is where it makes me laugh, because my dad, born in Mexico, didn't know English till he was like 12 or 13, right? Half white. My dad's dad is from Louisiana, right? So my dad I'm technically more Mexican than my dad, right?
No shit.
So, because I'm only 25%. My mom's full Mexican, right? But my mom was born here in the States, right? Not a first generation Mexican, not from Mexico. My mom was here in the States, grew up speaking English and Spanish or whatever.
Are you going to give us your social security number next?
Yeah, my bad.
No, I'm talking shit, bro. Go for it. Keep going.
No, but I'm just like, so.
My fault.
So when this dude's like, oh, you're not vato enough, basically telling Covino.
Right.
So, and because if you're going off of like percentage wise, so am I more vato than my dad?
Oh, well, who makes that guy the vato judge?
That's what I'm saying.
Did he have a gavel? I didn't see a gavel.
That's where I'm like, people, and then they say like about the not knowing Spanish shit. I've gotten that my whole life. I've gotten growing up kids making fun of me, right? Little Mexican kids, because I know Spanish. El pinche gringo, Daniela, right? Well, okay, well, I'm sorry. Like, even some of my good friends.
I'm sorry.
Like, even some of my good friends, dog. Like, I remember, I won't say his name, but he's related to my buddy Luis, right? And I remember him, like, kind of breaking my balls, like, half joking, like, you should know Spanish, right? And I'm like, dog, I'm sorry, I'm trying. You know, I'm like, it's hard to like
I put my best foot forward.
And no, I asked him one time, I was like, hey, why don't you speak German? And he's like, what? And I go, because you weren't exposed to it, right? So in my house growing up, all we watched was English shows. My parents only spoke English in the house, not because like they were trying to make a point. They just did. I don't know if my dad was like, hey, it was enough to learn that shit, you know? I'm going to use it, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, and there was some shit here and there that I picked up that was, you know, talked, you know, whatever. But for you to be like you should know it. And I'm like, no, motherfucker.
They didn't talk in Spanish when they didn't want you to know, though?
Yeah, that's when they would. When we were kids.
Yeah.
You know? But it's funny because it's like, what do you mean you should?
Because, hey, tell me if I'm wrong. in the households where the parents spoke Spanish and the kids didn't, that's the only time it was spoken in the household is when they didn't want the kids to hear.
Exactly, 100%, 100%. Which is so funny though, Doug. I'll give you a quick story. It's not gonna be as long as that one, but my little
I'm gonna start a timer this time.
my little cousins that like know Spanish as much as they know English, right? My dumbass like family members, I have some relatives that would try to do that to them if they didn't want them to know. They would start saying something in Spanish, and I'm like, "Are you mental? They know more Spanish than you because like their grandparents and shit don't even know English, a lick of English ever, right?"
Right.
So it was funny because they were so used to doing that to us as kids and all the little grandkids and shit, and being like, "Oh, sabes qué, el pinche," and then we would be like, "What?" All stupid. My little cousins and shit, they're like, "Oh, for real? That shit happened? Oh, that's what's up," right? And I was like, "Are you guys stupid?"
They're taking notes and shit.
Fuck, my bad, dog. It bothers me though, dog, when people try to be like, "You're not vato enough. You're not Mexican enough. You're not."
Who makes the vato judge? Like that's the thing too. Like, where's your gavel and your
and see,
that's black and white?
That's
cape?
where I feel like I'm envious of people like you that grew up in the hood and shit or whatever, but they know. If you do know Spanish, like if you knew as much Spanish as I do, which you probably do, but say right, and then you start talking and shit, they're like, "Oh, that's dope," right? Cucuy is a because he's not supposed to know Spanish and he does, right?
Right.
And so they look at you like, "Oh, that's cool that you do. Good for you, not shame on you. You should."
I don't
more.
know. Everyone thinks I'm Latino for some reason, so I don't know. Am I supposed to know it too?
I don't know. But the lady that I showed the video to earlier, the clip, she thought you were Mexican too.
See?
She goes like, "Oh, he goes by El Cucuy." She's like, "Is he Mexican?" I was like, "I've been down this a lot, you know." I don't.
I don't know. Shit, he don't even know.
Oh, but yeah. Let me know, Doug, if you how are you doing on time and what topics you got, because I rambled a little too much. My bad.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Rich thinking sunflower seeds only for playing baseball, and he made that comment with Spot, and Spot's like, "I'm fat. I've tried everything."
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious that Spot because
Hey, can you give me 1 second?
Yeah.
All right.
Let me see. OJ was on the plane, and I still say he did it. I'm probably gonna go to my mom's to watch part of the Lakers game after this, so I'm not trying to anything back right now.
Yeah, no.
I finally got my car back, dog.
That's what you said.
Oh yeah, I did tell you, huh? Yeah, I finally got that shit back, dog. You know, it was sometime in February when the accident happened, because I got the rental on February 22nd. And we had been without the car for, I don't know, it had been like a few days before that. But I was like, "Doug, we just got it back today." I was like, "Oh my God." And then, Doug, so this next week, Sunday, I go out of town. I go to Phoenix for a conference until Wednesday, right? Come back Wednesday night. I'm here Thursday. So Sunday I go to Phoenix, come back Wednesday. I'm here Thursday. And then Friday, I go to San Diego with Luis.
Yeah, oh, for the show?
Yeah, we're going to go see Shane Gillis. So yeah, the next week, dog, it's going to be a lot of me not being here in town. My freaking lady, she left this morning to Vegas, and I'm not going to see her till Thursday of next week because she comes back Sunday, but I leave Sunday morning. So that'll be, yeah, we're having a lot of one-on-one time with our daughter, so... You know, I get her for a few days, and then my wife's going to be with her for a few days while I'm out of town, so... Yeah.
Well...
What you got?
So, one thing I was fired up about.
What? OJ?
Was no, not at all. I root for him. Hopefully he gets everything he needs, you know, hopefully he does well.
Hey, this is what I'll say. If he did it... okay, that sucks. If he didn't, well... Cool, you know, good for him. I lean towards I hope he didn't. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the like that.
Who cares? That shit was over 30 years ago.
But what I'm saying is like, I mean, you don't want anybody to be a murderer. Anybody, you know what I'm saying?
I don't care if they are or they're not. It's not my business.
Yeah, You don't care?
As long as I don't get murdered by them or no one I care about. Other than that, why is it my business?
You're right.
Right? If it doesn't affect someone I love or care about, why do I care what's going? I mean,
Because OJ's out, dog. He could do it again. You live in California.
Again, that was 30 years ago. So if that's the case, did he do it the first time? Because he could have did it again and he hasn't.
Maybe he has. He just wasn't that sly.
Who knows?
You
What do
never
you mean
know.
he wasn't that sly?
Not this time, you know. But my bad. You were gonna say something and I interrupted you.
Well,
the guy that was talking shit to Covino, Jose Villatoro.
All I know is
fuck
that
that dude.
Covino caught them trying to rip his ass off, and his mom even called in, and Rich was trying to justify it. Well, let's just say if it's over 40, would you regret it? Check it out. They don't have to burn you. And I'm totally with Covino because for me, I bought a lot of cars. And I'll tell you one thing. There's dealerships everywhere throughout the town, throughout the state. Again, you live in California. You know how many BMW dealerships there is throughout the whole state? A lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you might have to travel. You might have to travel to get a good deal.
Yeah.
Which he's already willing to do by going to San Diego. So you might have to travel. But once that trust has been broken, and I agree with, I forgot the listener that chimed in and said that maybe the new manager was told one thing and he revalued it. And I get that. That all is very possible. I got a really good friend who's a general sales manager, and he has been for about 20 years now. So every time I buy a car, I call him, and he kind of walks me through that process. And, any questions I have, he explains it. So that is true. Maybe someone walked in, there was communication broke down, and he wasn't aware of what was communicated to Covino previously. So that is very true. But I think you got to walk away. You know what I mean? Like, I think once that boundary's been crossed, if the trust has been broken, you got to feel good about the deal because you're spending 30, 40 grand on a vehicle, and you should win a little bit when you do it. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you mean he should walk away then? He should have not done the deal, or he should have taken.
I wouldn't have done the deal.
So okay. I'm just trying to think of because I really haven't given it thought of whether I would have walked away or not. But
did he end up buying the car?
I don't think so. But the way I'm looking at it is like if he did buy it, he does get a deal because they're gonna so it's kind
What's
of like,
the deal? But that's not the deal. They told him 38. They tried to raise it to 40. The deal would be like he said, if they came down 500 to $1,000.
No, but like you were saying, if they reassess it and shit, they look at it, they're like, oh, you know what? Instead of 38, we could sell this shit. So if he walks away right now, they're gonna sell it for 40, 42 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying he's getting a deal, but he's getting a good price for it.
Listen, I'm a businessman. If me and you come to an agreement on a number and I show up and that number is less, I got a deal. If at any point you raise it and try to justify it, you might think you're giving me a deal, but I'm not because we already came to an agreement.
And I understand that. But so this is where I'm kind of like, because it's a good price for the car. I'm not saying you got a deal, but you got a good price for the car. So.
But did he though? Did you hear what Spot was saying private party was?
Nuh-uh.
He didn't really get a good price for the car.
Why? What was it? Private party?
It was private party. I thought he said was like 33 or 34. And they're trying to charge him 40. So, that's $6,000 over private party. Like retail's probably 38 and they probably try to jack it up.
So what's he supposed to do? Go to find somebody that's selling it, that same car that is private party, so he can get that 33 deal?
No, he's supposed to do what makes him happy. And if he still wants to pay that money because he likes that car and that's the car he wants, he's got to do what he's got to do. But that doesn't mean it was a good deal.
Yeah.
A good deal is when we come to an agreement and I could show up and you offer me less, or if MSRP or recommended retail value, because check it out. If you ever go on Auto Trader or Kelley Blue Book or True Car and you search for a car and they give you a price car guarantee, that's for like multiple days. It's not a guarantee when you click send me my price. Like they send you a guaranteed price and multiple dealerships to go and use that certificate at who are willing to agree to that price. That shit doesn't go away the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't get to tell you a price on Friday and then change it on Saturday. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, and I think where they was, I don't want to say they didn't know that they gave him this price or whatever, but I just feel like they could have been working with a few numbers, right? Of when we put it on the floor, we're gonna put it for this price, and it could have been just which I think it was, like a mistake where they up, and now there was kind of no coming back from it because the trust was broken, you know.
There is coming back from it because check it out. When you met me and we did our first podcast together, what was I doing? What was my career?
Save Mart manager.
Grocery manager.
Yeah.
Right. You make it right. You don't strain that relationship because the thing is in business, and this was before social media, in business, one person will tell 7. Now it's like one will tell like 50 because they'll talk about it on their social media. They'll tweet about it. They'll send a Instagram or a Snapchat. And so the thing is, like, you might lose 1,000 or 2 on the deal, but
you're gonna have
that exposure.
Yeah, you're gonna have
the advertisement you're gonna get and the hashtags this and the pictures and tagging your dealership is priceless, man. Like if you try to run an ad on like iHeart or whatnot on regular media on radio, that's just like $5 or $6 grand a month for your shit to play like 10 times a day at peak hours. Like you got to work those prices out, but they give you a package.
Yeah.
It'll play it like, whatever, however much you pay, it'll be a better package. It'll play at certain times of the day for a certain amount of times a day. And I promise you losing $2 grand and making someone happy that's actually going to post about it on social media and tag you in it, it's going to far exceed that in people that are potentially going to be customers to your dealership.
No, and think about it, dog. You made a good point because if they would have bit the bullet and said, we told this guy 38, when he came back on Monday, we told him 40 and, 38, we were still going to make some profit, right? So let's give it to him for 36. Be like, hey, my bad. Now, what's the narrative on Covino? Hey, I went to this place. There were some issues, but they it right. Now, Covino telling his millions of listeners, not only on their Patreon, but Fox Sports, like you said. So you never know who you're dealing with either, because Covino could have easily been some Mexican that worked at a school in the laundry room, right, or whatever.
Well, now we're talking about it on our shit. I mean, look how far it's already went. Now there's another podcast talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And we got 10 million listeners.
I just, when you went to go walk away, I told them it was 300,415 that are on the chat right now. So,
well, there you have it.
So,
well, and not only that. So let me tell you another thing that people don't know. So let me educate you a little bit, right?
Mm.
My boy that does help me out, who is a general sales manager, told me there's programs, Civics, Accords, Corollas, Camrys, all the top F-150s, Silverados, all the top cars out there that sell, and that sell a shitload. There's programs and there's incentives. There's a bonus at 25 a month. There's a bonus at 50 a month. That all these people have programs. And he said when he was at Mazda, I think it was like an M3 or whatever their little car was, there was like 50 a month. And there was a lot of times where they would lose money on the 50th car if it was on the 30th or the 31st, because even if they lost $2 grand on the car, they're getting a $25,000 or $50,000 bonus for hitting their number.
Yeah.
It's the 28th, homie. You got a couple days left in this month. Start shopping all those dealerships that need to hit their number.
And not only that,
of 330s or 430s or 530s, whatever he's trying to get. Like he's got a couple of days. Try to hit one of these dealerships that's a high velocity, because even in grocery, right? When I worked at Food Max, we went after the quick nickel, not the slow dime.
Yeah.
Save Mart owns Food Max. They move enough units where Save Mart gets a good enough deal, And when I worked at Save Mart, they rode the coattails of Food Max because the pricing was so cheap, and they wanted the slow dime, not the quick nickel. And so the thing is, you got to figure out the dealership that wants both, or they're just moving units. It's not necessarily how much they make on each car, but it's how many cars they sell. And that's where you want to go and try to get a deal. And I'm going to give everyone out there a little piece of advice. If you go into a dealership and they ask you, well, what do you want to pay? Or how much do you want your payments to be? That's a red flag. All they're doing is moving numbers. All they're doing is moving numbers where you go from 5 years to 8 years on your payments, or they get you a better interest rate, or they act like they're giving you more money in your trade and less on the car. They just start moving numbers. Once they start saying, what are your payments? What do you want your payments to be? Red flag, get the hell out of there, go somewhere else. And always try to go in with your own financing. Be pre-approved. Have your bank, get a pre-approval, because that's one less thing they can screw you with at the dealership. That way, all you got to negotiate is the price of the car. If you got to go in there and you got to ask them to borrow money and try to buy their shit, they're going to get you. If they don't get you on the price of the car, they're going to get you in the back end of the loan on the financing. And if they don't get you in the financing, they're going to get you in the price of the car. And if you're trying to bring a trade, they got 3 different ways to get you. Sell your shit yourself, get your financing before you go to the dealership, get one of these companies like Kelley Blue Book or True Car or whatever the hell the other one is, and get your certificate. That way, when you go in, they just got to agree with the price that they already agreed on. You already got your finances, so they can't screw you on the finance. You sold your car private party, so they can't screw you on your trade-in, and that's how you win. Well, shout out my boy Evan Jones. Go check out his cars on Instagram, Evan Jones. But that's another thing too, is the banks kick people down, referral fees. It's no different than selling X amount of cars a month. If you kick the bank X amount of loans a month, it's the same kind of kickback. So if you take away all those factors and you have your own financing and you take care of your trade, all you're focused on is the price of the car. And there's only one way they can screw you. And if you're laser focused, they can't. And because you have your financing, they can't say, well, but your credit score is this, and the banks don't want to do that, and we consider you a higher, and all that jive turkey bullshit. They can't even try to run game. So if you have that credit score, use it to obtain the loan, because they're going to still try to break you down and act like your credit score ain't shit. They're going to still try to make some bullshit excuse on why you got to pay this or that or the other. And you know what I'm saying? Why their lender this or that. Use that credit score to get your own financing. You have to do that, because if not, they're going to try to run game any way they can to rip your ass off, especially if you're in LA. Think about it. California, besides New York, who runs this shit? What's the number 1 or 2 states in America? Cali and New York, right? And think about when you go to LA, San Francisco, the Bay, anywhere in the Bay or anywhere in LA County, like, you're dealing with hustlers and sharks and cutthroats. You just are. You really are. You're not dealing with, it's different out here. And so you have to be aware of that environment and control as much of it when you enter it as possible. You have to be like a Jedi master. You have to. So go in with your loan already figured out. One less thing they can about. Don't take a trade in over there, because they're going to try to say your shit's going to blow up or this and that and the other, or it's a model, or you ain't got the sunroof, and they're going to haggle you. So just take care of that shit on your own, and that way, and then going with the True Credit or Kelley Blue Book or I can't think of that other one, but going with your little price quote, and that's it.
On the road to the riches, cause it's all about the paper. Now buckle up your seats and prepare for the journey. Let the music ease your soul, grab a spliff and start burning. Relax with us and take a trip to the heavens, and come and spend a day in the 757. Yeah.